Today, I effed up by thinking divorce was an April Fool's gag. Let me preface this off by blaming all of you, the entirety of Reddit, for desensitizing me and giving me major trust issues on April Fool's Day. So here it goes. Yesterday I got a group text from my wife, Sarah's side of the family, stating there was an emergency family meeting happening that night over dinner at my mother-in-law, Barb's house. I immediately had April Fool's spidey senses starting to tingle, but we haven't all got together since Christmas, so I overlooked it and said we, my wife and I, were in. We were the last to arrive, and it was pretty somber when we walked in. We all sat down at the table, and my wife's brother Tim informed the family that his wife Ashley had been having an affair and they are divorcing. The affair was with a longtime close family friend, Chris, who lived a block away. Chris's wife Jen had caught them when she came home early one day last week and broke the news to my brother-in-law Tim. Both families have been friends for years. They live less than a block from each other. They each have been married for 15 plus years, have 4 kids right around the same age. Honestly, I've always thought both of them were picture-perfect families. Hell, all 4 of them and their kids were at our house 2 weeks ago for a barbecue. Anyways, after airing a lot of dirty laundry and their plans to divorce, how it could affect future family functions, and opening it up to the group of any questions, there was silence. I broke the silence with laughter and a slow clap, saying this was the best April Fool's gag I've ever seen, but I wasn't falling for it. I told Ashley, and especially Tim, they needed to consider going into theater. Their performances were top-notch, and tears seemed genuine. Being the newest member of the family, my wife and I married 6 months ago, this was probably not the best thing to say in hindsight. I probably should not have said anything. Everyone in the room looked horrified. My mother-in-law, who had been crying the entire time, lost all composure. She left the room in hysterics and did not return before we left. Tim just shook his head, and his cheating wife actually let out a brief chuckle before calling me out for being a dumb butt for thinking this was a ruse, then berating me for being so insensitive. The rest of the family sat in silence, shaking their heads as my wife berated me for trying to make a joke out of a serious situation. I'm still dumbfounded. In hindsight, I probably should have sat in silence, but I honestly still feel like I was calling out an April Fool's gag. Too long didn't read. My brother-in-law's wife has been cheating on him. They told the family they're getting divorced. I broke the awkward silence with a slow clap and laughter, saying, I'm no April Fool. You know, I feel like I've mostly been on people's sides in these videos this last week, where people are like, I screwed up, and I'm like, it's understandable. These things happen to everyone. Don't worry about it, buddy. No, you effed up. You effed up real bad. Like, the worst bad. Divorce typically isn't something most people would joke about. Even if you were really confident that it was an April Fool's joke, like, if you want to prove that you weren't fooled, write it down on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in your pocket, and then when they go, oh, we got you all fell for it, you pull out the paper and you go, didn't fool me, ha 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 ha. But instead, you made the worst gamble. You misread that situation, especially like, well, you guys should go into acting. Your acting skills are so good. What? Why would you ever? Oh my God. I just really. No, but everyone else learn from this mistake. I mean, I don't want to shame this person too much. You made a mistake. It happens. But wow. Don't do that, anyone. Just, if it's something serious, divorce, death of someone, serious illness, even if you think it's an April Fool's joke, treat it like it isn't, because, wow. Am I the a-hole for making a dad joke? Note, my stepdaughter Madeline was about a year old when I married her mother Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad, I don't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change. I just replied, I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules. That happened about 2 days ago. So our family was going grocery shopping when Madeline said, I'm hungry, I need food. I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, Hi, hungry, I'm not your dad. My son just started to laugh uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment, and my wife was berating me not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke, and my son agrees. So, am I the a-hole? Edit, I did adopt her, so legally I am her parent. Mini update, I'll probably give a full update later, but here's what happened so far. I go to my daughter's room after dinner and begin talking with her. Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you by the words I said, and I am really your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college. And plus, I'm legally your dad, so we're stuck together. But seriously, I'm gonna love you like my daughter, even if you don't think I'm your dad. Then I hugged her. She did start to cry. I assume that's good. I mean, you did prove to her that you're her dad by doing a dad joke to her about not being her dad. So that makes you her dad, which, I mean, let's not think too much about that. But yeah, I am glad that at the end you did clarify. You raised her, you adopted her, you're her dad. Biology, get out of here. We don't care about that. If you're an adoptive parent, you're the parent. If you raise that kid, you are their parent. And so we've got that out of the way. And yeah, teenagers, especially around like 15, they're gonna say crap like that. And I think joking about it, I don't think it's that bad. Don't stoop down to her level. Sometimes you have to get on the level with teenagers, and you can't always expect them to hey, get rid of those hormones and emotions that you feel so strongly for a second, come up to my level. No, go down to their level, make a joke. Was it in bad taste? I don't know. I'm not going to judge, but I think that you took something she said, you made a joke about it, so maybe she could kind of realize how that felt for you, and she learned a bit of a lesson. You got to do a dad joke, and afterwards you got to have a serious talk about it and make amends. I'm no therapist. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I don't think it makes you an a-hole. I think that it just makes you a parent and you try to find a way to connect, even through a dad joke, and I think that's probably good. Today I effed up by owning a golden retriever while being black. Work was rough today, and all I wanted to do afterward was to sit on the couch and let the TV watch me while eating food not cooked by my own hands. The answer to that? Delivery. Food ordered, I let the dog into the yard to burn some energy and sat camped outside with him while waiting for the delivery. DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, and everyone other than Jehovah's Witnesses have trouble locating my address, strictly relying on GPS, so it's nothing for me to post up and wait outside for when they're close, flag them down, and go back inside for a contactless drop-off. Pertinent details before crap hits the fan. My neighbor and I share a fence with a doggy door, as our pups are super close, and you can bet each time that if my dog is outside, hers will follow for cross-yard playtime. This was the case today, and probably bad judgment on my part to think that I would be able to break up the fun quickly. Both dogs were in the neighbor's yard at the time the notification came through that the driver was pulling up, and I had to call out a few times to get my dog's attention. Neighbor thankfully whistled for her dog, and I had to put on the voice for mine to acknowledge I existed, and then took off running for my door while waving to the driver, who by this point was getting out of the car. Pup and I have a game called Runaway, where I will take off yelling, "Run away!" and literally he will chase after me like some human-sized fetch stick. I used this to my advantage until he realized I was putting him inside, but managed to get him through the storm door and close the screen before he could run out. Then I realized that I'd left the gate locked like an idiot with the driver standing right outside by this point. I didn't have a mask on at this point, and neither did she, so I yelled from the porch that she could leave the food by the mailbox, and that is where the fun started. "Is that your dog?" My BS meter didn't go off. I thought she was asking a question with an obvious answer because, duh, she was a dog person, so I engaged with dog owner gushiness. Yes, blah, 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 his name is XYZ, want to say hi? I'll be nice because you brought my food. But she just stood there awkwardly for a moment, put the food down, and quickly jumped back into her car. In my mind, I was like, okay, weird, but whatever. Snatched the food and went back inside, went to wash my hands, and from the kitchen window I can see the full street where she's still parked outside. Thinking, okay, weird again, but didn't dwell on it too much, figuring that she was looking at the route to her next location. I went about my business of preparing to destroy my meal. A few minutes later, the dog begins barking maniacally at the door. I take a glance at the cameras and realize she's still out front, parked directly in front of my mailbox. Okay, what's going on here? I go outside and try to get her attention, but she's on the phone and doesn't notice me. I walk up like I'm going to check the mail, and she does pull off, but towards the back of the neighborhood that only has one way in and one way out. Lots of people make that mistake, and so you'll quickly see cars turning around, but she never came back. By this time, I'm thinking I'm losing my mind, so I'm going in, but still watching the street for the car to pass. It never does. I don't know, people are weird, so I just left it at that and went back to eat. About 10 minutes later, the dog starts going ham at the door, so I check the cameras and see 2 police cars sitting outside my house. I continue to watch the cameras, realizing that, yep, the cops are getting out of the car and walking back and forth in front of mine and my neighbors' yards. I go out to see if anything is wrong, and they introduce themselves before saying they were called because a stolen golden retriever was reported at my address and if there was a dog in the home. It clicked that the driver had called the police and then explained my version of what happened. They were really respectful and apologetic, but asked if I could get Sir Pup. I went ahead and opened the door for the dog, who took off, ready to greet the new faces outside. His collar has tags matching the address with my name and phone number on it in case he was ever lost or stolen, which was proof enough for them, as it was obvious that they wanted to get this over as fast as possible. No hard feelings on either side. We were all walking away when driver's car slowly came creeping from the back of the neighborhood. I yelled out for them that the lady was right there, and they positioned themselves in front of her car in a way she would have to stop and speak with them. I don't know if this lady was drunk or off her meds, but she rolled down the window and was literally sobbing hysterically that she saw me take the dog from the neighbor's yard, that animals get no justice, and the icing on the cake, my kind only owns pit bulls and Rottweilers. There was no way he was mine and needed to be protected. I honestly did not want to deal with that mess, so sorry guys, this isn't a tale of revenge. I went back inside and stayed the F on my couch. My day was already crappy. Everyone left a few minutes after that, so I assumed she got a warning. However, I did report the incident to the delivery service and was offered credits towards my next meal. I splurged that on a bakery, and now I'm currently effing up a slice of carrot cake, grateful it didn't end worse. Edit! Wow, Reddit, thanks for the massive amounts of love and well wishes. Was amazing. Thank you so much for your kind words. I'm going to do my best and go through every comment and private message. I wish I could share this cake with all of you. Carrot cake lovers, unite. Happy to share this pile of awards with other great posts and comments. Taking sound advice to keep a close eye on the dog when he goes out. We'll also share it with my neighbor just in case. My husband did agree with many of you to seek further action against the delivery driver, but I'm pretty torn on whether to do so. Things are hard out here for all of us, including the less savory members of our community, but I will take the day to think on the next steps. I appreciate the sub this was posted to for restoring it after being removed. I apologize that this topic bent the rules and didn't think 100% before submitting. This was a way to vent. Thank you for allowing this to be a place of dialogue. Stay classy, everyone. It's her comment at the end that just suddenly turned it gross. Like, okay, the way that you kind of chased the dog and got it inside, like, I could see someone maybe thinking for a sec, like, whoa, that was kind of strange, and asking some questions to clarify. Then, oh my gosh. But your response was so reasonable. It's like, oh yeah, his name is this and that. Do you want to meet him and stuff? Like, That is not something that a person who's stealing a dog would say, I would not think. And then to call the police, step too far. Absolutely, I think. Like, I don't know. If you don't know what you saw, that feels extreme. But I get it. I love dogs. I love my pets and everything. If I was concerned about an animal, I would feel like I'd want to protect them just in case. But like I said, it doesn't seem like you stole that dog, all the actions, the way you acted. But the police thing, that's an iffy, but in my opinion, step too far. But then she was just racist. And that sucks. That makes it so gross. And I'm very sorry for the OP or anyone else who's had to deal with that crap, because that's just ridiculous. And, God, just racist people, can you stop? Can you just not anything? Jeez, Pete's. Well, I'm glad that the story had a good ending, though, and didn't get out of control. And, man. I'm also glad that you got carrot cake. I love carrot cake. One of my, if not my absolute favorite cake. And now I might go get some.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.